Interesting piece there by Ashley Missouri. And let's look at the economic growth prospects now. And economic growth is expected to rise to 3.4% in sub-Saharan Africa next year from 2.6% in 2017, the IMF has said in a report. The IMF has further warned that rising debt and political risks in larger economies would weigh down future growth. With Kenya emerging from a hotly divisive election, the economy continues to bear the brunt of the polls. According to the National Treasury, growth prospects remain stable.
2017 has been a difficult year because of the time we have spent on electioneering until businesses are put in a mode in a wait and see. But despite that, the economy continues to hold.
But with a soaring debt, Kenya recently crossed the 50% mark to GDP. This could occasion a huge debt burden, which analysts warn can trigger a mild slowdown. With intra-Africa trade driving growth in many African nations, political turmoil remains a key influence for the economy. The IMF says public debt will rise to 53% of GDP this year from 48% in 2016. More worryingly, most countries were now borrowing from local banks, which could destabilize the domestic financial sector and fuel inflation.
As you know, the latest figures that were released, the economy grew at 5%. That is still respectable, despite the challenges that we have. But we would have done more, obviously. We had set ourselves to grow at 6%. But now, this prolonged electioneering has cost us about 1% growth of our GDP.
Kenya is, however, not the only country exposed. Nigeria and South Africa are the biggest economies in Africa south of the Sahara. But both nations have been clouded by political uncertainty linked to the tenure of their leaders. The IMF says a good harvest and recovery in oil output in Nigeria would contribute more than half of the growth in the region this year, while an uptick in mining and a better harvest in South Africa, as well as a rebound in oil production in Angola, will add to growth.